To be with everyone here. Thank you to SCORE for hosting the space for which I can present this topic, a topic I care deeply about. And I'll get my slides up here for everyone. All right, great. Well, welcome everyone to Growing Your Business with a CRM. I'm Luis Garcia. Our agenda today, we'll go through a brief introduction. I'm going to discuss a way to wealth formula because we're here to learn about growing our business. So what does that really mean? There's lots of different ways that we can chalk that one up to. And we're going to look at some formulas in which that happens. Then we're going to look at CRM fundamentals. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. Essentially, it's a fancy database in which you keep track of your contacts, your companies, your deals, all that critical, important data that you want to be able to use to run your business. And then we'll collide these concepts together. So we'll look at how we can use a CRM and the data that lives within it to be able to track and influence your way to wealth. How do we make it to give you more revenue, more sales, greater profit margins? We'll also have time at the end for Q&A, but I also encourage you to ask your questions throughout, and we'll be monitoring the chat for the Q&A features throughout. So again, please feel free to do that. And I already see a bunch of us commenting on the chat already. So hello, Alex, welcome. I see you're selling Filipino formal wear. You got your website there. That's great. Everyone, please introduce yourself, your business. And also too, if you want to share even about what brought you here today, and where are you at inside like your CRM journey today? Like what are you using a CRM? Are you not? Which one? If you want to share which one you're using. The more I know about you, your business, where you're at today with your CRM, all those types of questions, super helpful because I can cater and tailor a lot of the stuff that I'm about to share here with you to you and make it more relevant. So I'm happy to do that. Hi, Kathy. I see you're with Opus Music Academy and you don't have a CRM. So great. You're in a great spot, right? There's a blank canvas for you, right? Where you can see if a CRM is a good fit for you and your business. Hi, Pat. See you too as well. No CRM. Okay, we actually have a few no CRM. So I'm waiting to see if anyone is using a CRM. Perhaps Tony, I see you mentioning about what's the easiest CRM to transition into QuickBooks. So that's a very common question. The CRMs are oftentimes our source of truth inside a business, and to do that, if we want to treat it as a source of truth where we trust the data that's there and we go there as our kind of one-stop shop for our data, oftentimes we have to have it integrate with other things too, like our accounting software. Maybe we have different quoting tools. You might have contracting software like PandaDoc or DocuSign that you want to integrate with. You might have phones like Google Phone or Twilio or AirCall that you might want to integrate a phone system into, right? So there's just with the plethora of different marketing technologies that are out there, so are the amount of different ways we can connect our tools directly or through tools like Zapier or even custom integrations. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So we'll get to all that good stuff later. Hi, Kara, in the retail or in the real estate space, and Donnie and Ashley, Alex, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really looking forward to digging into these topics with you. Again, my name is Luis Garcia. I'm the CEO and president of Media Garcia. There's my LinkedIn on the screen. There's also a QR code there, so you can scan that and be taken to my LinkedIn. Connect, follow with me. But would love to connect with you outside of this if you continue to have questions around CRMs and to be a resource for you. I've been in my business now for 14 years, and half of that has been as a moonlight business, moonlighting while I worked at Target Corporation. Actually, that's my background. So I was at Target for 9 years in their IT and business intelligence department. So I spent a lot of different played a lot of different roles within an IT organization, from an engineer to a developer to an analyst or a project manager. Eventually, I spent some time in a business intelligence space where I started working more with like data and analytics and data warehousing and data visualization. And throughout my career, I was training myself a lot of these technical concepts from project management to change management, risk management, and also developing tools. I was developing tools to make us run better, make my day-to-day life easier as well. And so I was always looking for ways to automate things, streamline operations, and make people's lives more efficient. Because I definitely live by the mantra of work smarter, not harder. And but if we can do both, that's great too. But regardless, you want to make sure that we're smart with our moves. And so, uh, I've worked at Target for quite a while, and then halfway in my career there, I started my business where I started making websites for local small businesses. And about 7 years ago, I encountered HubSpot, which is one of the many CRMs or customer relationship management platforms that are out there. There are many, so a lot of the times I'll be speaking to HubSpot examples because I know the platform the most thoroughly. But I've worked also in Salesforce, which is another very common CRM product, and there are many other ones that are out there in the marketplace, including like Zoho is a very common one. Some tools that people use for CRMs might be like Insightly or Monday.com. And each one of these tools, they kind of have a varied set of functionality as a CRM. And some of the new, so there might be some nuances and different functionalities between them, but know that at the end of the day, most of these CRMs want to be a source of truth for your data. You want it to be a place that you can go to and count on for the information that is there. Now, during my own transitions from my part-time side business to going out on my own on a team of one to growing a team, CRM or customer relationship management tool was and has continued to be a critical part of my growth and success. And so what I do and what we do at Media Garcia is to onboard companies to CRMs or optimize where they're at today. Oftentimes we get companies who have maybe been on a CRM for many years, but throughout all the years, they've had different administrators come in and customize it in different ways. And sometimes they have a bit of a spaghetti mess of configurations on their hands with a lot of different forms and automations and things that just make it complicated to get good data from it. So we usually come in, build some reports and dashboards, clean data, and make these tools easier and train people on how to use them so that they can bring greater results to their lead generation efforts, their customer acquisition efforts, and ultimately the things that are going to be growing the business. Our customers oftentimes don't have a CRM or they're just underutilizing their current CRM, and they want a tech expert to come in and to optimize these tools so they can make them run better. And so we're hosting this webinar because we believe in sharing tools with others and concepts and skills to help them succeed. And by the time we complete this webinar, you should be able to understand the concepts of what a CRM is, how to use it, how you could use it within your business, and also walk away with some practical steps and ideas on, maybe where a CRM could make a difference inside of your current day-to-day marketing and sales and customer service activities within your company. All right. So that you'll notice here that we're a HubSpot Platinum Solution Partner, which just means that we've been managing and selling so much HubSpot over the years. I'm also a verified ClickUp Power user. ClickUp is a project management tool, so I'm very familiar with project management tools and even integrating project management tools and CRM tools. And I am also, outside of this, a Upwork expert vetted freelancer. And so for those who might be familiar with the Upwork platform, it's a gig platform, kind of like Fiverr, where you can find freelancer talent to execute activities for you. And being an Upwork expert vetted talent means that I'm in the top 1% of talent for the category of marketing automation. So, so happy to answer any kind of questions around marketing automation, CRM, data, websites. Because a CRM oftentimes is more broader than just the data and the records themselves. Our mission is to improve the survival rate of businesses and lengthen their life expectancy. Our vision is is transforming predictable poverty into predictable wealth in communities by inspiring, empowering, and educating business owners. Here's a little bit more information about myself, even with some pictures. So, happily married, have a couple of kids and a dog. And I like to spend time outside, including going to see some of the amazing waterfalls that we have here in my home state of Minnesota, fishing on the lake up north, and gaming, camping, playing tennis, or pickleball. Actually, I should update that to pickleball because that transformation definitely has happened for me in the last couple of years, and cycling as well. But as of late, I've been mostly busy personally with home renovation projects. So that's a little bit about myself. But let's get into the CRM stats. Uh, the global CRM market is poised to reach about 113 billion by the end of 2027. And 65% of sales professionals use a CRM, and 97% consider sales technology very important or important. And then third stat, 53% of top performing sales people have a higher confidence level in their CRM data than their counterparts. So a couple of takeaways from here, right? One, the CRM space experienced a explosion of growth that was fueled by the pandemic and teams needing to work distributed and remotely. And from that, people needed to collaborate with digital tools. They couldn't rely on being together in an office. They couldn't rely on their paper processes anymore. And also consumers started to increase their demands and their expectations and how businesses would transact and do business with them in a digital environment. And so all of a sudden now all these digital tools have either evolved or they've grown in their way and how they work or how they connect with other tools. And we also see that when CRMs are in place and used well by sales teams and marketing teams, that they will lead to growth. They will lead to stronger lead generation campaigns and customer acquisition campaigns over time. And yes, I see the question here, Tony, that CRMs keep raising their prices every year, causing many businesses to go out of business. How does a small business lock in a lifetime price for a CRM? Great question. I mean, every business is probably going to have like different pricing strategies, but what I've seen work oftentimes, if you are really, I've seen multi-year contracts where you can lock in a price for 3, 4 years, sometimes even. So that way you can avoid those like renewal increases that might occur inside your software subscription. So go ahead, that's just one tactic potentially that someone could take on to work on their pricing. And yeah, and then probably picking the right software too, right? The technology spend or CRM selection, there's a lot of different options, and then each CRM has kind of like different tiering. Some CRMs are free, and including HubSpot. HubSpot has a free version that we've actually shown to a lot of our prospects and even score businesses who maybe they have no CRM today and they're trying to wonder, well, what's the best first step could I take? Well, usually going with a free tool, right, just to see how it could work is a good primer just to see what can you get out of the box for free, and then kind of step into more like the higher paid models. But yeah, I definitely there's certainly a level of sticker shock with a lot of folks that I work with over time and I've had like hundreds of pricing conversations around CRMs, and they usually see it as a very inexpensive tool, and they can be, particularly as you get into more complex features and benefits like automation, et cetera. But I think I saw an article recently that some finance firm was able to like cut costs 90% by using CRMs and automations and AI. And So there's, it definitely is an investment, but at the same time, it can provide a lot of return in terms of time savings, automation. Maybe you can scale easier as a result. And so it's always best to kind of look at like what are your goals from the CRM, and what is the ROI that you would want to be able to see in order to justify the investment that you would have to make into it, right? To really turn it from a cost, right, into an investment. Great, Cheryl. Yes, I see. You want to move from multiple spreadsheets to a single CRM. Yes, that is definitely a common place that we find people. Usually business owners, right, will start out with a lot of spreadsheets. If you're comfortable with spreadsheets, but even if you're not, then business owners are operating out of their email inboxes or their voicemail inboxes or notes they're writing down on pieces of paper or off their memory, right? And these tend to be the places where your CRM data is. But the challenge is there is that it's siloed data. You have you have to go into one system to see voicemails. You have to go into another system to see your Gmail accounts. You have to go into another system to see your invoices and your accounting information. You have to go into another system to see where your contracts and your signed documents are, or maybe your CAD designs or approval documents or purchase orders or quotes and or orders and all that type of stuff. And before you know it, you have a lot of different software with a lot of different data, and oftentimes it doesn't talk to each other, right? And so that's where CRMs can oftentimes come in to play a role to eliminate those silos of data. So in that way, gives you one place to go to get that central source of truth and information that you would need to be able to gain insights into who's buying from you, who are your customers, what kind of questions are they asking, what does the sales journey look like, how long does the sales journey take, what are the key milestones that you're looking to move people through. All that are really great CRM use cases and features for it to solve. So I have a question for everyone here. If on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not confident and 10 being very confident, how confident are you in your CRM data? And if you don't have a CRM today, just treat like your email and your voicemail or whatever system you have today, spreadsheets, whatever it is today. Just go ahead and chat and give us an answer here. So 0 being not confident, 10 being very confident. And I'll give you guys a moment to let the answers come in here. And then I'm going to browse the recent chat stuff. Let's see here. Okay. Hi, Danielle. I see that you've upgraded to Zoho and are revamping the CRM. Good to see. Alex with the Jetpack CRM. I haven't heard of that one, but I'll definitely check it out. I usually hear of a new tool or two when I'm on these calls because people will say, "What about this thing?" or "What about that thing?" And there's countless numbers of CRMs out there. Let's see here. Yeah, and Kara, I see that you mentioned you've used Monday, Line Desk in the past. You use Flowdesk now, but it's not really a CRM, and that's a interesting comment, and I think I know where you're probably heading with that, and that there's tools now that maybe were different tools or do different kind of capabilities really well. Like they might be email marketing tools, but then they added a CRM to their system, but their CRM functionality might not be as robust as a different CRM that is maybe more truly built as a CRM or started out as a CRM and then built out different kind of features. And so you'll notice that, especially the last couple of years, we're seeing the word CRM kind of creep up in a lot of different platforms where they weren't necessarily today. And that's fine. I think that people are seeing the value in this the building up of the CRM, and so that I think that's just a natural byproduct that we're kind of seeing. Okay, we're seeing a lot of results here come in. So read few off: 7, 3, 8, 6, 5, 6, 10, 2, maybe 7, 7, 0, 0, 4. Okay, cool. So we probably have an average of 5 on the screen, and we got like a couple of folks who are like feeling super confident, which is great. And wherever you're at is okay. It's really helpful. chances are if you're in the 5, or under, or maybe even if you're a 6 or in the 7, you're going to have kind of these types of questions, right? Where you're this confused, concerned CEO who's trying to understand, is this marketing campaign really working? Why are sales down 20% this month? Will I hit my revenue growth goals? Well, what's working? What's not working? A lot of times we need to rely on data, to be able to answer these questions. And depending on how we run our campaigns or how we track and collect data, getting to these answers can be simple or it could be really difficult. For example, a lot of times, when business owners are just starting out, they're oftentimes trying to do a lot of different things to attract leads. They might do a little email marketing, they might do a little social media marketing, they might do a little bit of blogging, and they might they kind of spread their camp efforts and campaigns across a lot of different platforms or mediums. And maybe they don't get enough traction across any single platform to really say, well, what worked or what didn't work, right? It's kind of throwing a lot of the spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks kind of strategy. That happens a lot, or where people will get into a certain campaign and they'll kind of work it halfway through, but then they'll stop early, and so then we don't know what really could have happened, if we just would have stuck with the campaign and seen more results and more data kind of come through those efforts. When we look at growing our business, right, uh, it can oftentimes feel like this image here, which depicts a cash flow system. And I'm actually going to reshare my screen because I'm going to share the PDF version of it so I can kind of click around and dig into this PDF to look at it in all of its glory. So this cash flow system is a representation of what it's like to grow our business, right? We have all right, let's zoom in here. So we have customers, right? So a lot of times, when we're in startup mode or a small business, that might be too far. So we have customers, right? And it rains, sales into our sales bucket. And depending on our sales, we might sell on credit, which means we have accounts receivables, but a part of that's going to be bad debt. So there's a leak there. And then, we have these different valves, which, we're controlling the valves in our business. Like, how much credit do we offer? How do we go about doing our collections on our accounts receivables, right? And there's other ways that we generate, cash through the system, whether it be through taking on debt through lenders, through equity from investors. And all of that will come into what is our available cash, right? But just because we have a lot of cash in our accounts doesn't mean that a big part of it isn't already spoken for, right? And with our accounts payable. But on top of that, we have all these leaking aspects of our cash. We got to spend cash on selling. We got to spend cash on the administration of our business. We have, we leak out cash whenever we have payroll tax or debt principal that we have to serve. And so trying to manage this complex plumbing system, right, can be very difficult, right, for someone who, when oftentimes we're just so focused on the sales aspect of it. Visualized another way, right, in a more simplistic manner, because this is how this is one way to view your cash flow system within your business, but another way would be to look at just more the revenue and how do we generate revenue. So I'm really just focused on the customers to sales piece today, but know that a CRM can embed itself into different aspects of your cash flow system to make collecting money easier, to maybe streamline some of the administrative functions, the selling functions, to make those not be as much of a investment, to bring greater efficiency to those activities. All right, so another way to look at this is through the customer formula and the revenue formula. And so the customer formula really just looks at how do we generate marketing leads and what is your effective conversion rate of those, how many marketing leads that you generate, how many of those are you converting into customers? That's your customer formula. And then the second formula is going to be around your revenue formula. So from those customers, what is your average sales? And then how many times do you sell in a period? for those companies that might sell multiple times in a certain period to a customer. And from that, we get our revenue formula where we can see, total revenue. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through this equation and use the example of an HVAC company for demonstrating some ways that we can influence your way to wealth, and then some examples on how an HVAC company could reach growth along with using different types of CRM tactics to get there. Okay, so this HVAC company is showing a kind of a before and after piece here. So they were generating 40 leads a month, and they had a effective conversion rate of 25% or 0.25. So their customers that they were generating were 10. Now their average sales, because they're bigger ticket items because they're selling ACs and furnaces and whatnot, is $4,500. But they only have one sales per period because it's like once they sell it, there's typically not they're not going to replace it, in the next couple of years. So given this model, a HVAC company that was generating 10 customers with average sales at 4,500 would have a monthly revenue of 45,000 per month, or a annualized revenue at just over $500,000. And this company was looking at to double their revenue. They wanted to go to become $1 million business. Well, there's a lot of different ways that someone could double their outcomes here. First, they could just generate double the amount of leads, so they could generate 80 leads instead of 40, and keep their effective conversion rate constant, and that would double their leads. They could also keep their marketing leads constant, but just double their effective conversion rate and go from a 25% conversion rate to a 50% conversion rate. That would effectively double their revenue as well. They could also double the average sales and go from 4,500 to 9,000. And that would effectively get you to that point. Now, it might not be practical or realistic to double any one of these things. There's a lot of factors and other things to consider, because sure, you could charge more, but maybe then you would have a lower conversion if you charge more. Or is it realistic, or does the market have is there enough demand out there to generate 80 leads rather than 40 leads? And so doubling any one factor alone, or tripling sometimes isn't the practical approach, but usually what we find is that companies will look to make incremental improvements along different aspects of their revenue formulas to increase the revenue. So in this case, if you increased your marketing leads from 50% to go from 40 to 60 leads per month, and if you were closing that at an effective conversion rate of 33%, which would be a 32% increase where they are at today, then they would generate just about 20 customers, keeping average sales consistent, and that would bring them the doubling that they would need, or that they want against their goal. And so this just shows that there are a lot of different levers, that we could pull to help them get to these points. And the levers that we pull to generate more marketing leads and the activities that we're doing there are a lot different than the levers and the activities that we're doing around your effective conversion rate. And again, a lot different than the levers or activities that we might do around your average sales. And so there's different actions, particularly inside your CRM, that we can take to influence these different factors. For example, if we wanted to look at how to optimize on your marketing leads or to generate more leads, we would look at your website and say, well, how's your website positioned today? How competitive is it? Do you rank well on search engines? Are you generating organic leads? Can we create landing pages with advertising towards those landing pages to increase the amount of leads that you're generating through those channels? Or use social media, directories, or other types of events to generate more leads. When it comes to your effective conversion rate, that's going to be more about your sales process and your sales team, using scorecards or nurturing leads that you've connected with but haven't purchased yet. Lead nurturing is a huge piece. We know that customers on average take about anywhere between 8 to 9 contacts or touch points before they buy. And I see time and time again where businesses, particularly like in the professional services spaces or the trade spaces, that don't continue to follow up, with people that they've quoted services to, and usually the buyer is still in consideration, and we've all been there where the prospect ghosted us, right? We're like, what happened to them? They seemed really interested in us, and they wanted to buy, and they were giving us all the good signals, and I already counted my chickens before they hatched, and and now I can't get a hold of them, and I don't know where they are. And an effective lead nurturing process that prevents them from becoming a ghosted contact, right? Can really become a difference for a lot of businesses. Other effective strategies to increasing your conversion rate may include providing discounts or looking at what other kind of add-ons might be able to increase your conversion rate. It may come down to how responsive you are inside of your prospecting experience, and using better quoting tools, to get you to that point. When we look at average sales and as part of your revenue formula, typical things there that will influence that will be, increasing prices, right? Making sure that you're competitively priced, um, and looking at, well, if you want to increase revenue, then typically we'll have to increase prices as a result. We could do special offers, uh, try to increase the size of your orders. So instead of buying 3, buy 4, perhaps provide incentives for those types of things, or to sell complementary products. And a CRM can support with this type of stuff too. A CRM can help you identify where you have cross sell opportunities, upsell opportunities, and support you and making those complementary offerings available to your customers and prospects. And then increasing the sales per period. So, this is mainly going to happen through selling more often. If you're able to increase uh, the kind of the repeat buying that people produce. And oftentimes companies will come to us and we'll work with them to help them understand how often people purchase through them through their CRM data. So a company that's been using a CRM for, tracking their deal data, we can see how long it takes for them to close deals, and then we can see how long it takes for people on average to order or reorder, in those cases where people are buying many times per sales period. With that information, we can provide folks with you know alerts or notifications, when a client hasn't repurchased in expected amount of time. So um, if we expect that a certain customer is going to purchase, once a month, and we haven't seen it come through in 30 days, or, we could do a notification and then increase the severity of the alerts as more time goes by. So we prevent any kind of slippage in our revenue as a result. We can also sell complementary products and also offer services for those companies that maybe are more product centric, oftentimes offering like a service package, or some type of maintenance piece around your productized offer, can help you sell more frequently. So those are a couple of way to wealth formulas to get our minds working around the numbers and all the ways that we could potentially pull levers inside of our business to influence our revenue. Now I'm going to bring that back into a primer around CRM, and then we'll look at how we can use very specific CRM features to gain these types of benefits to move ourselves towards the way to wealth. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. And for most businesses, this is the single most important asset because it contains information about your prospects and your customers, how they find you, what do they, and how they go through a sales journey, and what do they buy from you, and what their customer experience looks like. Oftentimes, early on for businesses, this information is spread out in a lot of different places, including in the memories of your employees, or in email inboxes, or in a stack of invoices on your accountant's desk. But as a business grows, it becomes necessary to have one central place where all this information lives, because your team is going to be slowed down without the ability to answer uh, questions quickly, like who are our customers and how do we get in touch with them? What are they interacting with? And also, additionally, if you have a team of people where multiple people from your team are interacting with a certain customer, like say a salesperson and you might have an account manager or a project manager, your prospects and customers are going to feel the pain if they've experienced that your whole team isn't on the same page, because from their perspective, your prospects and customers are interacting with your business, not a collection of different people and departments. And their expectations, or buyers' expectations, are that everyone on your team is on the same page, because we don't, as buyers, we don't want to repeat information, or we want to feel like we said something and you forgot. That way, a CRM can support us and remain in maintaining the context of what a customer's needs, wants, what their current state is, and where the conversation was, wherever you left it off. So these are some of the problems that a CRM system is designed to solve. It gives you one central place to go to organize all the details of your leads and customers. The short answer to who uses a CRM is that really any business that wants to maintain a relationship and an activity log of information regarding their interactions with your business. To get a little bit more specific, these companies tend to be B2B companies that usually need to track leads across a long sales cycle. And long could be weeks to months, or they need to track them through different kind of upgrade paths. These B2B companies are using a CRM because they want to, track all the emails, the phone calls, the meetings, the notes, the quotes, everything that kind of goes along with selling inside of a business to business or B2B space. Doesn't mean that the CRM isn't for B2C companies as well. It can be. B2C companies like jewelers or realtors or landscaping services, particularly those that have longer sales journeys, still often find a lot of value in a CRM system, because they also want to track their customer data and who's interacting with their marketing efforts or sales efforts, and what's being engaged with there. B2C companies that are highly transactional, like a bakery, might not necessarily need a CRM. Might not be a huge difference maker, especially if they're just selling out of a storefront in a neighborhood. Not to say that they couldn't use it, but they typically will rely on their e-commerce software, like a Clover, for example. And I know there's a few others, but they'll usually rely on their e-commerce tools, to provide that kind of CRM functionality. That being said, there's a lot of different companies that maybe didn't fit into any of those examples that I gave. But at the end of the day, a company that wants to be able to track, their information and have a central place where this lives, is a good use case for a CRM. Typically, people who use a CRM want to because they want to bring some structure and consistency into how prospects and customers are interacting with your brand. So if that's important to you, that as well, then a CRM is likely for you. Some of the key benefits for different types of users within the world of CRMs are going to be business owners, right? The business owners they're delighted because when their teams are using the CRM, when your teams are using a CRM, you're going to be able to get high level information, reporting and dashboarding about their activities. So you could see, from your sales team, like who's the most productive, like who's sending out the most emails, the most calls, setting the most uh, emails. You could use sales for your sales team, or particularly for your sales managers. They're going to be delighted when they have reports and dashboards about sales leaderboards, so they can see, well, how much sales have we closed, who's on my team, what's the leaderboard look like, who do I need to, acknowledge and reward, and who do I need to coach and to train and to improve. Like the CRM will give you a place for you to gain insights into all of that. Sales team members are also happy with CRMs because it gives them a tool set to sell better and to stay on top of their communications, make sure that deals don't fall through the cracks, particularly in those longer sales cycle opportunities. And then customers also benefit because when companies use a CRM very well, they feel delighted because their interactions feel very seamless and they feel heard and they feel confident and trust your company because they've can experience you having all the information that you needed, kind of at your fingertips, right? And that you're always ready with information that they need. So now we're going to bring these concepts together and look at how we can use a CRM in more specific, practical ways to influence your way to wealth. And we're going to go through a couple of use cases to illustrate this first. So first is going to be to feed your CRM data. CRMs are, they're like Cookie Monster, but for data. It's like data monsters. Like the more data you give them and the better data you give them, usually will give you greater insights and information into, what is driving your lead and revenue attribution within your business. The second use case that we're going to look into some more is around how we can experiment and optimize with the CRM through conversion rate optimization. So when we looked at the prior example with the HVAC company, we said if we could improve the conversion rate of your marketing leads, or if we could into customers, right, the customer formula, then we can increase that too. So we'll look at some tactics and tools that can support with that. And lastly is through enablement. So sales enablement is about giving your sales teams the tools they need to enable them to sell better. So it's going to be, looking at different uh, features or tech that your sales team can use to stay on top of their pipeline, follow up with people in a timely manner, and to be able to prioritize and get notified when people are starting to be hand raisers, right? Like we want your sales folks, the sales teams, to be able to look at a list of leads and say these are the ones that are the most valuable to follow up with, and then here are tire kickers that might be wasting your time, or maybe deprioritize these for now and make sure you follow up with the ones that are showing good buying signals from you. So sales enablement supports with that. All right, when we look at lead and revenue attribution, what that means is we're looking at what were all the things that led up to that sale, or that lead coming into the picture. Because usually there's meant for, especially for long buying journeys, and usually the case for B2B businesses, usually there's a lot of interactions that happen. Again, remember, it's about 10 interactions, that you got to take usually to close a deal. And those 10 interactions could maybe take place over a few days. It doesn't have to be a super long, drawn out process. But it's usually the number of touches, right? So it could be that they interacted with an ad from an ad campaign that you served up on their LinkedIn profile, and then they went to your website and they filled out a form, and then maybe you sent them a automated email with a video to watch, and then they booked a meeting with you, and then you had a meeting, and then you had a follow-up meeting, and then you had a follow-up email, right? Like as we increase the number of interactions and touch points that we have with your prospects and customers, you're increasing the likelihood that they are going to purchase from you. Oftentimes, especially I get it when we're all small businesses, and you can say, "Yep, that's me" in the chat if you feel this way. But a lot of times as business owners, we oftentimes move between kind of a feast and famine model because we're either doing all the sales or we're doing all the delivery on the sales that we did. And then because of that, when we get into delivery mode, we'll sometimes slack or we'll put off the whole follow up on the sales because, well, I got enough business right now, so I don't have to nurture the pipeline too much because I'm too busy and I got to get this project and I want it to go well. And so then as a result, right, the number of interactions tends to fluctuate. And then as business owners, we're wondering why, I don't have any sales, or I just completed this project, but now I have nothing on my plate and I got to go into hyper sales mode. That kind of whiplashing of model, right, is chaotic, right? And so what we're proposing, or what I'm recommending here, right, is to um, know that oftentimes these sales, they take time, and it's best to nudge them along, right? Just like as you're working throughout your day, and you want to build your CRM in a way where you can say, okay, like what are the 5, 6, 7 deals that I kind of have to interact with to move them forward the next step? What's the next practical thing I can keep my interactions and my touch points going, even if it's a simple email or call to someone just to stay in touch with them, right? That can make a big difference. All right, so lead and revenue attribution and being able to set up your systems to track this. A lot of CRMs will do this automatically for you, but not everyone does this automatically, depending, again, kind of depends on the CRM you're using. If you're using a CRM like Zoho, Salesforce, HubSpot, then yes, it's going to have activity attribution that you can typically go back to and either go through these records and see what kinds of things were leading to their attribution. And some CRM tools will actually do attribution reporting, where it'll say things like, out of 100 contacts you created, here's like the journey that they've all taken. And so getting to this attribution, though, is important. When we look at other ways to uh, feed your CRM or feed your lead generation activities, we also look at SEO, right, as a big part of that. Particularly for businesses that are geographically located, or they want to attract leads, from businesses that might use, or from customers that might use language like chiropractor near me, or a guitar teacher near me. Like those. Whenever there's something that's very geographically based, then local SEO is very key. And you can use tools. This is a screenshot from a tool that we use at our agency called SEMrush, but there's also other ones out there too, like Ahrefs and Moz. They all provide very similar features in terms of SEO. But with using SEO, you can focus locally, right, at where am I, how well am I doing, where my business is located, and then how am I doing in like the first ring of 5 to 10 miles around me, and then okay, 10 to 20 miles around me, and you can actually see how well you rank, depending on where people might be searching for you. And from that, you can gain competitive insight to say, well, who's doing better than me? What are they doing? What should I be doing? And then optimizing your local SEO efforts to increase your rankings. Because if this is a way that people are buying from you, and people are going to search on Google, which frankly a lot of people are for most considered purchasing decisions. I know I practically search Google for everything I buy, just because I want to get reviews and I want to see competitive analysis. I want to make sure I'm getting a good deal. I want to see if anyone else is offering something. It's become my shopping assistant very much. And so this is another great way to feed your CRM marketing leads. Okay, and now we're going to look at how we can take some approaches with conversion rate optimization. So conversion rate optimization is around setting up experiments within your marketing, and it can be in your sales efforts as well, but setting up an experiment that will allow you to test a hypothesis to see if one version of something, and I'll give the example of an email. we could create one version of one email and then create another version of a different email for email marketing purposes, and be able to see if one did outperform the other. And first you'd want to understand, well, what is the outcome that you're looking to test? If in the example of email marketing, we might be looking at how do we increase the open rate, or the click rate, or maybe a conversion rate, from marketing emails to sales, right? Um, those are oftentimes the rates or the things that we're looking to influence. What it looks like more practically would be, for example, like this um, website pop-up here, where we had one version of the pop-up which provided an offer and a conversion rate here. And then we had another version of the pop-up, but this one included a clock, or like a countdown timer, right? That started at 15 minutes and went down. Now with the countdown timer, we saw a 7.97% conversion rate increase just from that, right? And so um, setting up conversion, or setting up your A/B testing. One, you want to know what you're trying to test, and then you want to isolate it in a way where you're not doing two drastically different things, so much that it makes it difficult to compare. So usually just changing like one thing or the other, right? So that way we can say, okay, yes, the countdown timer alone had this kind of influence on this marketing campaign. And so, but if you would have changed the image, you would have changed the colors, you would change the countdown timer, blah, 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 then we might not be able to ascertain as quickly and say, okay, yeah, it was because of the colors or it was because of the image. If too many things are different, then testing and A/B testing can become more difficult because we've changed more factors in which we're trying to test. So A/B testing, and there are some tools that do A/B testing really well and might do it for you. Like you can create landing pages where you have one version of one landing page and one version of another, and it tracks the conversion rate over time. Um, it they don't need to be that, like, even if your tool set doesn't have A/B testing included in it, you could just A/B test on your own in a more manual way. And you might start by trying with just even some of your email marketing emails. You might try one marketing email with an open, or like a subject line that evokes one emotion versus a subject line that might evoke a different kind of emotion. Right. With this, you could test, are people, motivated by saving money, or the greed factor, right? If you told people that, if they, you know, you have an offer to save 50%, right? Well, that's going to invoke, um, you know, the greed factor for me, right? Like, oh, I get to save money. Okay, cool. Like I'm paying attention. That matters to me, but it might not matter to someone else who actually cares more about urgency, or might be more might react more to a factor of urgency, where maybe the subject line said something like "act today, limited time," right? You could see, well, does that influence your open rates or conversion rates from these email marketing campaigns in a statistically significant way, where you could say, oh wow, yeah, people really didn't care if they saved 50% as much as they cared about knowing that everyone else has the same thing as them, or the Jones effect, right? There might be different like emotions or drivers, that are driving your prospects and your customers from engaging with your campaigns, and we can test to see, what drives them perhaps more than the other. All right, moving on to our sales enablement. So we're looking at now how we can use CRM tools to support our sales team and to enable them to sell better. Now, one way of doing this is through the use of these like templated emails or sequences. And this is an example. It's a HubSpot screenshot, but essentially a templated email might look like this, where um, it has a subject line like "How are you?" and then it has these personalization tokens where you can say hi, and it puts their first name in. I see you're using our free CRM. Here's the body of the content of the email itself. And then thanks, and here's another token for the sender's first name. So whoever is sending this template, their first name would show up here. What this template allows someone to do is to pre-write any kind of email that you might send out often. And this could be for your, cold or warm prospecting. It could just be for your follow-up emails for nurturing people that you've connected with. These templates are really great for any time that you have an email that you just kind of send out on a recurring basis. And these using these templates are going to save you time, and they're going to because they are personalized, it's going to leverage your CRM data to populate this information in there. So thereby streamlining your email sending process. You save a lot of time, and then often the CRMs will track these communications as well. So you'll be able to see things like, did they open the email? Did they click on the links within the email? And that's going to give your sales teams with that information, right, with the engagement insights to be able to say, oh, this person is interacting with our campaign. Oftentimes, here's an example of a HubSpot sequence. We can create sequences, and again, we can do this with a lot of different kind of sequencing tools or sales prospecting tools, including tools like Apollo.io, SalesLoft, Dealfront. They all have usually some aspect of emailing, maybe phone calling, maybe even a LinkedIn connection. But here's one example of one that we've worked with a lot of companies inside of HubSpot. And this includes sending a welcome email to a prospect and then having the salesperson connect with them on LinkedIn. This would turn into a task. So you might send an email, wait a day, connect with them on LinkedIn, wait a day, send a helpful content, that is directed towards them, right? The intention here is that oftentimes with emailing or with prospecting, it's a give and get relationship, and you got to give first. So you got to give helpful content. You got to give them information that's going to help them raise awareness to the problems that they're having, if they don't know that they're having them, and then to also demonstrate your authority in the space. As you begin to provide solutions or your pitch. This one included a phone call. So after a few interactions, a phone call, another email, which included social proof like case studies, and an invitation to chat. Depending on their interaction at this point, we might change the lead status, which would be a property inside your CRM. Say you connected with this lead, you would select like connected, for instance, and now you would have a list of leads that you could see that you've connected with. And then there's follow-up emails. At the end, right, is that breakup email, which usually looks like, I've seen a lot lately, which is like one of three things, pick three things that happen, haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks. Are any of these things true? Have you fallen and you can't get up? Are you not interested in this? Or maybe you're too busy and you want to check your emails. Those emails are okay. I get a lot of them. So, they kind of get drowned out by me, but essentially with the breakup emails is a very effective process to wrap up the communication. You want to wrap up your offer, to this person and send them a signal that you're not going to send them another email. Maybe they've been kind of sitting on your emails for a little bit and have been observing. Oftentimes, they won't actually engage until you tell them that you're going to stop engaging with them, right? And at that point, right, they might just stay quiet, and that's fine. That's the way they go, or they might respond and say, "Yes, let's chat," or before you go, let me hear you out some more, right? So this is an example of a sequence. At the end of anything that we do like this, that involves a lot of steps and a lot of automation, we definitely want to be analyzing, how the sequence is going along the way. Ways that we could analyze this would be, how well did our emails get sent out? Did they have a healthy open rate? Was there a healthy click rate? Are we getting people like unsubscribing from our stuff? Like are people complaining? Right. Those would be some negative factors to watch out for. And then of course, right, did we generate any pipeline, any new opportunities, or even any new deals and revenue from these sequences? by the way, Eve, I do see your question. Yes, there will be a recording of this. This is a screenshot of a HubSpot dashboard that shows a couple of key metrics that around their marketing performance. And so we can see for this company that it looks like in a time period over few years. This is all kind of fictitious data, anyways. But they had this many visits, 180 visits. They created 84 contacts or had a conversion rate of 46%, which would be phenomenal if this were a true example. And then they generated one customer, which isn't that great, or a conversion rate of 1.19%. Now, maybe it's great in their case, but usually, we probably would want to see more opportunities from you. So if I were looking at this dashboard, I would start to work with this company to say, okay, well, where does the opportunity lie here? Do you need more visits to your site? Is it about pumping more top of the funnel type visits and leads into your system, or could we convert better? Is there opportunity to actually try to increase your 1% contact to customer conversion rate and go from a 1% to like a 5% or a 10%? Is that realistic? Could we achieve that? Because if we could bump this 10%, well, then you would have 8 customers instead of 1 customer, as an example. So those are different ways, but doing this, there's different levers to influencing this conversion than there might be than, with increasing your visit counts or different, or your visit to contact lead conversion. Other really useful dashboarding tools and things to kind of keep a pulse on that we usually see sales teams and sales leaders that they want to maintain a pulse on would be like their sales pipeline. And so they want to know, like, what does my forecast look like and at what stages are my deals at? How much have I won? In this example, this business has won one deal at 2,400. And now they have pipeline showing, okay, well, you have 9,900 in this presentation scheduled stage. You have 7,800 in this qualified to buy stage. And so now you have pipeline reporting where you can see, what's in my pipeline and what am I expected to close. So that way I can develop a forecast. Another way visualized is through a funnel. So using these funnel reportings for your sales managers and sales teams is very key as well. Because you want to be able to see, where do I have leaks in my funnel? Again, this is where the CRM comes in. And if you're tracking your deals across a pipeline and across key stages in your pipeline, then you're going to get really good information on, well, what is the conversion from one stage to the next stage? For example, in this example here on screen, we have 29 deals that were created over this time period. It says 28 appointments set. And then we have 6 appointments completed, 3 where the buyer journey is continuing. 1 is working the upgrade, 1 closed, 1 closed lost. And so when I was working with this customer, I started to dig into, well, why is there just a 21% conversion rate between the set and the completed? Like, what is causing this type of drop off here? And we started to look at, oh, well, there were some salespeople who weren't marking the deals, and so we had like a behavior and process and data quality issue on our hands, and we were able to rectify that and to see a better picture of that. And so this is an example where seeing some of that CRM data and starting to question the results that we're getting, it will just drive better behaviors and data practices as well. Another way to visualize your sales pipeline inside of CRM may be to use what this is. It's called a pipeline waterfall, which it shows how much pipeline you're adding through your leads and prospects, and then how much pipeline is being decreased either through losing deals, winning deals, pushing deals out into the future, or maybe by decreasing the amount of what those deals are worth. And through that, we can see, changes or fluctuations within our pipeline amounts. So these are a few examples of how we can, equip owners, sales managers, sales teams with reports and different types of tools within the CRM to help them sell better and prevent deals from falling between the cracks. All right. In summary, today, folks, we talked about the way to wealth formula and how we could look at different ways to pulling levers inside our business to generate revenue growth. We also covered CRM fundamentals and explored who uses CRM, when to use a CRM, and what the often use cases are around those. And then we combined those to look at how we can more practically use a CRM to track our way to wealth and more practical tools to get hands on into that as well. That concludes the presentation at this point. We do have more time, so I'm happy to answer any kind of questions that are coming up at this point. You can continue to ask those in the chat. I really appreciate everyone for spending time with me here today. If you want to connect with me, it's not a sales call. I'm happy to just discuss the CRM topic with anyone that attends my webinar in a one-on-one meeting. If you'd like to take me up on that, you can use this QR code that's on screen to get time with me on my calendar. And I'd be happy to use that to answer any more specific questions that maybe are more relevant to your circumstance and where you're at today. So, but that is it for now. And I think we'll probably have a score rating and some other things that you might want to share. So I think I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, just a reminder, everyone will be receiving a copy of the slides and this recording. But we do have a couple questions coming into the chat. Lewis, if you want to get started on those.
Sure. Yeah, I can see one here from Tony, which is he's looking for a CRM that handles all the following in one app. So branding, front-end website, shopping cart, and e-commerce, lead gen, quoting, CRM, email, automation, social media, accounting, inventory, shipping, invoicing. Okay. Yeah. So that is going to be often, so that might be more of an ERP actually, which again, it kind of depends on the tools. And now ERPs might include a system like NetSuite or some other tools. I'm not a huge ERP expert, but once you get into like inventory and shipping and those types of things, I've often found that a lot of them like CRMs like HubSpot and Salesforce or Zoho, right? Like they might not factor for all those. And I guess it kind of depends on your business. I'm assuming it's an e-com business in the B2C space. Usually I'm seeing that those e-com B2C businesses they'll use an e-com platform. Might be Shopify, might be BigCommerce, it might be Magento. There's a lot of other e-commerce platforms, and usually that e-commerce platform will handle things like the shipping, the tax, the shopping cart stuff. And then they'll use a CRM like HubSpot that will handle like the branding, the front end website, not the e-commerce stuff, but like the website pages, the landing pages, things that don't require shopping cart functionality necessarily. But then with that too, you'll get things like email marketing, social media, and those things. Now, neither of those systems might do accounting. You might need a tool like QuickBooks or FreshBooks or something like that to still do your accounting piece. So it kind of depends. Probably tricky to get one tool to do all of those things. Chances are you're going to have a platform, of connected tools that speak well, work well together to be able to accomplish all those items. Let's see here. So I see a question around, do you only refer HubSpot to clients? So no, we work with HubSpot, Salesforce, we've done a little bit of Zoho, and a lot of different other platforms and softwares beyond that. But we've, about 90% is of our work is in the HubSpot space, and so most of my examples and experience is going to be around there. So that's where I speak mostly to it. But again, it's not the perfect fit for everyone. It kind of depends again on your business, your size, your what kind of features and capabilities you're looking to get. Investment is also a huge consideration and factor in all that as well. Cheryl, I see your question. Can you feed spreadsheet context into a CRM? Are there CRMs that are more specific to a specific industry where they may also create email templates? Yeah, definitely. So most CRMs will allow you to import like a list of contacts. That's oftentimes what we do when we're migrating businesses between systems. So for example, right now I'm in the midst of a project where we're moving someone from a uh, Zendesk to HubSpot for ticketing and managing their customers' orders and in the form of tickets. And so we're going through and we're doing a lot of analysis to say, okay, well, how can we export your data? How much data can we export out of these systems, and then clean the data up a little bit before we import it into your new system? Most CRMs will have an import system. Oftentimes, too, CRMs might sync through different things. So you might actually be able to sync, like if you had a spreadsheet on Google Spreadsheet, you might be able to sync with that, or use a tool like Zapier to sync a spreadsheet between a CRM as well, if you actually needed a spreadsheet to still exist somewhere. There are also, to your second question, there are industry specific CRMs. Um, we often find these ones like in the finance space, or like in the mortgage space. Like there are industry specific CRMs, and usually they're trying to provide a solution to a specific use case. In my things that I typically look at when I'm evaluating any CRM for a customer is to say, okay, well, is your industry specific use case, is it not possible to accomplish in a CRM? Or is it, for example, there might be CRMs that are HIPAA compliant for healthcare companies that need to maintain sensitive, non-public, personal information, right? And if you have to follow HIPAA, well, HubSpot is not HIPAA compliant. Now, that might change in the future, but they're not today. And as a result, I would caution someone, or at least give them approaches to safeguarding any kind of data that they might put inside of the HubSpot platform, so that they don't fall out of compliance and become at risk for violating any of these regulations, where there might be other CRMs that are HIPAA compliant to use. Now, oftentimes there's a trade-off with these industry specific CRMs. Like they might not be as big, or they might not have as large of a support team, or they might not integrate with as many tools, because they're usually a much more niche product. But that's not necessarily always the case, but it has generally been my experience as I've kind of delved more into these industry specific CRMs. All right, so working through questions. Why do CRMs seem to require estimates to new business contracts? We're seeing many orders grow into thousands, and large entities that end up placing only small orders. Doesn't seem worth it to plug in junk numbers when we don't know. Sure. Yeah, exactly. So it's a really good question around like, what do we put into our pipeline, and what do we put into these fields? And does it make sense to do it at this point or later? A lot of these like touch points and triggers, can give you really good data reporting, or it can give you a lot of, yeah, but this kind of reporting where I know sometimes where I look at people's pipelines and I say, oh, well, you have $6 million in your pipeline. That looks pretty healthy, doesn't it? And they're like, yeah, all those deals are stale. I haven't followed up with any of them in 30 to 40 days. And we're not going to close any of that money, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, okay, well, to me, that speaks more to, okay, well, there was behaviors and processes that we probably need to put into place to make sure that we get the right data in here, and that we're moving things or handling things in a timely manner or design manner, so that way you can look at your reports and dashboards and not just yeah but them, or know that there's nuances with the information that you're seeing. Um, So hopefully that answers your question, C. Schneider. Happy to answer a follow-up one on that if I didn't get to that. So Cheryl, I see your question here too is how flexible are these platforms? I would want to set up my own tracking points. And yeah, there's um, that's it kind of depends again on the platform that you're using, but often like what I've done for customers is to set up customer journeys. So there are customer journey tools that allow you to set up if you want to track like very specific milestones within your business. We can do journey type tools to say, okay, like first, when do they come in and where do they come from? How did they what do they interact with? When do they book a meeting? Okay, when do they book the demo? When do they sign the contract? And being able to you can set up deal pipelines with those types of deal stages, so that way you can track all of your opportunities through those kind of key milestones, and that way you can say, okay, well, I have out of my whole pipeline, I have $500,000 of business in it. 10 of those deals that I have are people who are in a demo right now. I've given them access to a demo. Okay. 5 of those people I've sent a contract out for a quote. I'm waiting for them to sign. One of those I just closed, right? So being able to find out what those key milestones are inside the business, and build that out as like different types of stages or tagging different ways within your CRM will help with that type of conversion tracking and attribution tracking as well. That's a great question. Thank you for your question. I think right now I'm not seeing any other new questions unless I think I missed something here. I'm seeing a head shake, so I think we're good.
You're good. I
Uh,
think I've been looking, I think you got them all.
okay. All right, perfect. Well, yeah, that was a lot of really great questions. I love the engagement. Makes it a lot more exciting for me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was a wonderful webinar. And like we've said, we will send out a copy of the recording and slides, which will have this QR code to schedule the Connect meeting with Lewis. But if there are no more questions, we will wish everyone a great afternoon. And thank you so much, Lewis. Take care.
You got it.